welcome everyone. Freedom 35ers first ever sit down. This is a new series for us where we get to know more about artists and creators in the CNFT space. My name is Tommy and I go by TLWMY, also on Twitter and Discord.
I'm TJ, I go by Lazy T on all my handles.
And my name is Tom. I'm the other Tom and I go by Lavish Bear.
And today we're joined by the awesome artist, photographer, author, U.S. United States Air Force veteran, Jason Matias. Jason, thanks for coming on, man. Welcome.
I didn't know I was first.
You're the first one.
You are the first. Yeah. So this series, like we were actually going to segue right to that is, this is our first ever interview series with one of the creators. And I thought it was so fitting for us is to actually have a true artist onto the thing. It's really cool to be able to get to talk to you. So we appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I think for us, we're a little newer into this space. I've been a few months now. We've been talking about CNFTs. We've been getting into Cardano a little bit more, and ended up talking about it so much. We ended up, hey, why don't we start a podcast? And this is kind of how we got born and birthed. And from there, I've been starting to see the community develop, and actually been seeing your name pop up in a lot of different Twitter spaces. And I think that's how our interaction even, me and you even got to talking right now and how this happened. So for you, how did you actually get into CNFTs and Cardano itself?
I got into Cardano because it was the cheapest of the top 10 back in 2017. So I was like, where's the best multiplier? And I thought that was it. But so that was 2017. But then when this whole NFT space became something that was mainstream or started becoming mainstream, I jumped in on ETH. And I was on ETH for the first 4 months of this whole adventure. Right. But the whole time I was looking at how do I get onto Cardano? And for the last few years, I've been offering my art for crypto. Like you can pay me in crypto for physical pieces. But I didn't know the Cardano space was kind of opaque. In like June, I couldn't figure out how to get on, or May. So it took me until June to figure out how to do it. And since then I've just been pushing forward, and I show up in a lot of spaces because the other thing that I do is and I'm an educator, right? So I teach artists how to do business, and I just like talking about that stuff. So I just I'm always on spaces sitting there ready to brain dump on people, I guess you could say.
So you've been into Cardano, I mean, way before NFTs, a lot sooner than all of us so far, because we just got on for NFTs. Or Tommy, you actually had a little early on before NFTs got on there, didn't you? And you were holding on to it.
Yeah. A little bit of background about us, Jason, is with this whole Freedom 35ers thing got born from us actually getting into crypto as just a group. It became a group text from us called Freedom 35. And it was our goal to go ahead and retire off crypto. We thought back in 2017, we were going to invest in XRP, Tron, the XLM, and we were on the Binance, verifying with our little ID card, sending them to China, whoever knows where we were, getting verified on back then. And that's kind of where we birthed out of this whole thing. And it got resurrected back in, May or April this year, when all the meme coins started to go off, and we started all talking about it again. And I actually got into Cardano, I'd say about May of this year. I had been pretty much primarily in XRP and a little bit in Ethereum, and then stumbled into the NFTs back in about August of this year. I was the first one for seeing it. That was the first NFT I ever bought. It was actually a Cardano Bits back in the day. So it was kind of cool.
Do you have a Jason Matias yet?
I don't have a Jason Matias, so that's something we wanted to talk to. I didn't. That was actually something I wanted to ask you about is, I realized that after starting to do more research and looking at your stuff that you had real artwork. I think that's something that a lot of people in this space technically, start to look over if they're just the average consumer, right? They all look for the profile pictures, the big names like the Yummies, the Clays. But when you start to look at actual real artists who in this space are out, it's kind of unique at what you're doing, right? How did that come about for you, and how has it been like transferring from the real world into this digital world with your art?
I think that the NFT space, the NFT verse, or whatever you want to call it, is bringing in a lot of new buyers, new art people. So they come in and PFPs are the thing, right? They're the things that get spread around a lot. Everyone's changing their profile pictures. So that's what they want. And it's interesting. I've had a few conversations like this where I'm speaking to someone and asking them about their tastes and whatever, and finding out that they have never looked at art as a value add to their life, like putting a piece up on a wall or whatnot. They've never done that before. So they're coming in with brand new art taste. And honestly, we all start with art as kids, as cartoons. So it kind of makes sense that we're still, all these people who are just getting into the art world are looking at the cartoonish stuff. It's been a bit of a challenge on my side, producing or projecting the value proposition, because this whole playing field, this whole universe is built on financial assets. So people are coming in because they want to make money with their NFTs, but the fine art flip, I guess, is much longer term.
Right.
And I think a lot of people aren't doing that. They're not ready to do that. So it's been a bit of a challenge.
I do like how you were bringing or bridging real life photography and art to the NFT space. I think that's an awesome thing that you're doing. How do you choose where to post your art to sell versus the Ethereum versus the Cardano side? Do you have a way you're like, oh, I want this on the Ethereum network and I want this on the Cardano side, or you just kind of pick randomly?
Well, everything that's on our Ethereum is there because they didn't have anywhere else to put it.
Gotcha.
There was no Solana. There was no Tezos when I started. So it was Ethereum by choice or by default. Now I just released, I don't know when this is going to come out, but I just released the collection for Art Basel, and I chose to release it on both Ethereum and Cardano because the people walking around with wallets at Art Basel are going to be the Ethereum people.
Right.
But I also wanted to make stuff available for Cardano. So in general, when I'm looking at where to post a piece or considering where to post a piece, if I feel like it's going to be a high ticket item, then I think I'm going to put it on Ethereum because that's where those buyers seem to be. Right. I'm hoping that will change.
Yeah.
Because I would rather make money on Cardano than I would on Ethereum, because then I can stake it, then I can add it to the community, and I just like it better. There's a lot of reasons to like Cardano. So
right.
How does that work as far as fees and costs for you? Because obviously we all know about high gas fees, and I think that's what turned a lot of people over to the Cardano and even Solana marketplaces right now, just because of those fees. How does that work from a creator standpoint? Does it cost you more money to go ahead and mint? How does that work on your side?
Well, it costs me more money to mint on Ethereum, obviously, unless I'm doing the free minting or the lazy minting. So that's free for me. I don't pay any gas fees on free minting. But that affects the price that I think I can charge, because I can't, or I don't think it's right to charge $100 for something and then the buyer has to pay another $300 on gas. I think that's just silly. Which is why I think the higher ticket items would go over there, like the one of ones and whatnot. Cardano obviously doesn't cost much. It's like 1 point something ETH or 1 point something ADA to post, right? Or I can do I don't want to call it the vending machine style.
Right.
I go through a service and
like an NFT maker or something like that, or
and then it doesn't cost me anything except for the fee. So it doesn't cost me anything to make it and to put it up for sale. Then I just pay the fee for whoever did it. So I use Marmata a lot, and they charge 5%.
Okay. I think actually I mentioned my first ever NFT. It was a picture, I think, an animated. Our Tom over here, he does some editing for us, and I think it was Metro Mermaids or Marmata. I think I actually saw your video you had for that. And yeah, it took maybe, like I said, it was three ADA or something like that, and they refunded obviously a little bit of it, so it was super cheap to do.
Yeah, it's 3 ADA. They give you back 1.5.
Yeah, so that's super cheap, obviously, especially if you're not releasing 10,000 of those, like a big profile pic collection, and it is a style of, it's way more affordable, I would think, to be on Cardano if you're doing it, I guess, technically the easy, the correct way to go about minting it. So that's actually a cool topic we actually discussed in one of our podcasts last week, was actually the utility versus art, right? Everybody in this space right now seems to be in that flipper mentality of wanting to, to 10x their money as soon as they buy something. And if they don't, they can immediately dump it down to a very low price below mint and just kind of move on to the next thing. And they aren't in that for that long hodler discussion. How does that impact you as an artist? Because obviously that we were talking about, it seems that would be very discouraging, you would think, is to see this hard work that you put in, people buy it for this price. And then afterwards, if it's not making them an immediate amount of money, they kind of move on and walk away from it. How's your feelings on that?
No one's putting my work on the secondary market.
Really?
Everyone who buys it is holding it.
That's awesome.
I haven't seen, so the only thing I've seen on secondary is my Lonely Boat collection. And I think the people listing that is Mad in Art, the company that did the drop for me. Because they kept a few of them for themselves. And I think they listed it on the aftermarket, but they listed it for like 18x.
Wow.
Over mint. So I see people doing the dump, and I only recently learned how, or what the mentality is about that. Because the below mints, I don't think most sane people aren't spending a bunch of money and then listing it for less than they bought it for, right?
Yeah.
The people
You can
who
never figure it out.
Yeah, so the people who are doing that are the people who are trying to get rare mints. So they buy a whole bunch, right? Let's say I want to spend 2,000 ADA on a project, and then I go look at all my little things that I got and find which ones are rare and which ones aren't. Then they dump the common ones so they can recoup a little bit of money so they can go buy more to get more rares.
Right.
And that's what's happening with that. I think anybody who has money understands the economics of how it would be a losing game, right? To spend 10 ADA on something and then sell it for 8, right? That's a recipe for poverty. But it's just those people doing that. And it doesn't affect me at all. They're not doing that on artists, they're or individual artists. They're doing that on the big projects.
Yeah.
And I am going to do a big project, like a 50,000 drop, but it's going to be of the book I wrote. So, and if people want to dump the book after, I honestly don't give a shit.
Right.
You already paid me. I'm not getting
Exactly.
anything out of the second thing. And that's how the real world works anyway. If you buy my book at Barnes and Noble and then you go sell it back when you're done with your whole library and you need space, you just drop it off somewhere. So,
Right.
But I mean, that's a book, but
I think the whole point of it, of what people are doing right now, right? They're looking to have long-term, that they want to see, they're expecting long-term investment and utility almost out of some of these projects. Like sometimes artwork is just art, it is what it is. You're there to be viewed and appreciated, and they're not there to offer you utilities, royalties, future airdrops. It's not there for that. And I think that mentality right now, it's you're not seeing it. The mainstream part of this NFT thing is more focused, I think, currently in that. But I do think there will become an appreciation for the people who have started to collect these things. Like I know me personally, I'm now, and I started this thing with 2 and just kind of just hanging on to them. And I sit with almost 400 CNFTs now, just because I don't like letting them go. I actually appreciate holding on to them. So it's definitely a different mentality, I think, for the mainstream.
Well, you mentioned, for the book, you're doing a massive release, so it makes sense for the 50K drop. With some of your other art, you have done different limited amounts of drops. Like some of them are 1 of 1, like you said, and then some have been 10 of 10. How have you kind of chosen which picture you're going to do in such a limited amount? Or is it just like more ones you have connected with? Like this is just going to be 1 of 1, that's it?
It's kind of like, how available do I want to make the work for people?
Mm-hmm.
So I did my first drop on Cardano after the Lonely Boats was the Skyward collection, the 3 planes. And I was originally going to put them as 1 of 1s for the big plane. The Strata Fortress was going to be 7,500 ADA as a 1 of 1 plus print. So 7,500 times whatever the price is. So 14,000 to 21,000. And if I was doing a 1 of 1, that's what I would charge in the real world, around 20 grand for a piece. But I kind of realized it's way out of the budget for a lot of people. So I broke it up into 10 and just divided the price. So each one is 750. You don't get a piece of physical art with it because it's not priced in, but I mean, it is what it is. So when I start pricing stuff lower like that, then I increase the edition because there's an amount of value that I think or that I want to get out of a piece of art.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
When you list your art as an NFT, do you have a physical copy of it as well, or you're just doing it just as the rarity of the NFT? So the person who has it just has the NFT part of it.
They just get the NFT. The physical pieces have value of their own. So if you were going to get a piece from a physical piece from me, you wouldn't get the NFT as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And we were kind of just scoping a little bit of background about you, and we saw your TED talk. And I, two pieces for me really stood out. Your artwork, which I think are beautiful, was the Edge of Solace. That piece is amazing. I would love to hang something like that up in the home of mine. And then I believe it was Advendisora. There it is. You had a fun story about that on the TED talk about how you had to shoot that and break a little bit of the rules. Can you explain a little bit about those?
Yeah. So if you want to see what Edge of Solace looks like, check out my newest tweet. I just posted that because that's going to be at Art Basel. Shoot. So I mean, Edge of Solace isn't a photograph. It's something I made, right? It's three different photographs put together to create this scene that I always wanted to photograph. I always wanted to find a dock that went off in a environment that looked infinite, so like a nice foggy day, and was just kind of fit into that aesthetic of comfortable isolation. It's a place, and the tone and the color just makes you feel like you can be there and be alone. I couldn't find it. So I was on, I don't know, my 40th dock, standing there, disappointed at the view. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to take a picture of the dock.
Yeah.
And then I took a picture of the water, and then I had some clouds and I put it together. Awesome. It's one of the pieces that are like, that I'm super proud of, because it is the aesthetic that I look for, right? This idea of comfortable isolation. So I always want my images to either be like Edge of Solace, which has one focal point in a big soft space, or I want my work to be so full of detail that you feel just as isolated. And that's what Avendisora is. It's on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. There's so much detail and so much color and high fidelity information in it that it's just, right? You're just in it and you're there, but you're also, you can be there by yourself because there's just so much noise. So, and every photographer wants to take a picture, an autumn picture of a Japanese maple. And a lot of them from all over the world go to the tree in Portland. And for that one reason alone, I was like, I don't want to take a picture of the tree in Portland. And I never have. The only photo I have of that tree in the Portland garden is with my cell phone. But so I had been looking for another tree, another Japanese maple, and I found that one.
Dude, it's beautiful. Also, I'm just looking at it right now, and it's amazing looking. You get almost lost just kind of staring at it. That's what I was kind of going back, and I think I'm starting to appreciate art a little bit more from scrolling through some of your stuff right now. So that's awesome. And you had to, was there a little bit of something different? You said you had to basically set up over the line and make sure people weren't watching you when you were getting ready to take that photograph.
So I have a membership to that garden, and I can go in early. I can go in before they open, so I can take photographs. And the rules still apply, right? You can't walk off the path because it's a curated garden.
Right.
And I was only, a little bit off the path, but I was shooting medium format. And here's a medium format camera. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but the sensor on this thing is like, you guys have all seen the sensor on a regular camera, right?
Yes.
That's how big the sensor is. It's like,
oh wow,
it's huge.
Gosh.
But because of the mechanics and the physics of these cameras, the lenses don't go that wide. So the widest lens that I had for that camera, which was a Pentax at the time, couldn't fit the whole tree in the picture. Oh, wow. So I had to, if I wanted the picture, I had to step back, and that was my only choice. Luckily, I didn't have to go back that far, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to take the picture.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's awesome, man. It looks, like I said, beautiful. Those are the two big ones that stood out to me. And then even some of the stuff that I've been seeing, just scrolling through Twitter, and I saw you did like a Halloween and a fantasy type drop where I know you're also collabing a little bit too with the Angel Baby Hit Squad on some stuff.
Yeah. So what's really cool about the NFT space is it's allowing me to sell stuff, to distribute art that I never could have sold before, right? Like the angels that I did with Ali. I would never have found a market for them in
Right.
in the real, in the physical world. But the NFT space is giving me a whole new market. So I am excitedly doing more of that stuff because I've always wanted to create that kind of content. I
Yeah.
never have, because I've been a professional artist since 2011, full time since 2014. That stuff doesn't sell in the real world.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. So
Yeah.
I've been focusing on, running a business. And now I get to do a lot of this other stuff. And that makes me happy. Like
That's awesome.
before when I was in that Twitter space right before this and right after this, I'm going to go back and I need to edit a few more of those for the collab with the Hit Squad. I don't know when this is coming out, but their drop is sometime this week. They're doing a stealth drop. And then everybody, I'm the first airdrop. So those angels that I've been producing for the last few days, if you own one of the Hit Squad, you're going to get one of these angels as an airdrop.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. That was to say that's the awesome part of that. I've seen so many big names also being in part of that collab with them. So that's awesome. So you are going to be the first one who comes out with them.
Yep, first one. So in a month or
Awesome.
two, it's going to drop.
That's awesome, man. And I don't know if did they actually put a release date out on that, or is that
No, it's a stealth drop.
Yeah. Right. I got you. I didn't know what exactly week. I know it was coming up pretty soon, so I wasn't too sure on that because that's something I'm keeping an eye on. I've never actually, I don't think any of us have actually minted actually on an OpenSea or Ethereum platform before, so it's gonna be new for us.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
And then you were just doing a Twitter space. Now that it's still early. We keep saying how early we are, but now that you're getting into Cardano, have you noticed any different engagement from the people like in Ethereum at all, or from like, I mean, obviously the market's a little bit smaller and not as much money being spent, but as far as people actually engaging goes, has that been a little different or more?
I don't like talking shit, but there's no way to say this that doesn't sound like talking shit. The Ethereum ecosystem is highly egocentric.
Yeah.
Right. So when you get into a Twitter space or Clubhouse room to talk about art, everyone's just talking about themselves. And in the Cardano spaces, it's really different. And a lot of times they're like academic discussions, and that's what they are. They are discussions. So it's really different. The two spaces are very different in that way. I think that some of the mentality from the ETH market is going to shift because those people are coming over here and more people are jumping in. And in a lot of ways, the spaces are the selling platform. So there's a lot of people who are creating, artists or teams or whatever, and they want to get their 15, 30 seconds of screen time. We used to, the traditional advertising, TV and social media, you pay for that. In this case, we are getting our spaces and getting a chance to talk. So I can always tell though, like when I'm in a space, I can always tell when someone gets up and they start to talk, that I can, like, from the tone, I can just know that they're going to say like 14 words and then they're going to start talking about themselves. And I don't see that much of that here on Cardano. But I'm sure it's coming.
I definitely see that too. I think it's more of a community base in the Cardano versus Ethereum side is not as much or as so, because everyone is for each other in this space. Artists are for artists, other mentors are for other mentors. As far as wallet holders, I just think it's a big, great community. Everyone's in there for each other, not just themselves. So I get what you're saying on that part. The differences between the two.
A lot of people excited, to learn because it's so much more accessible. I feel like to get in Cardano. We've said that a few times. I know that's what you said when you first got into it. It was just the cheapest top 10 coin. So getting in is so much more accessible for people. So we always have new people and people trying to keep things fresh and actually trying to learn and be a part of the community. Whereas Ethereum kind of has, it definitely has more of a roadblock if you want to get into it. So I can see how it draws a different crowd or community for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is very it's been very inviting to say the least, especially seeing it grow over the last few months. It feels like it's been an eternity almost, you know, even since August itself. He said it feels like a year into space each month. But yeah, man, as it's growing, you're seeing all the different people kind of surround each other. I know I wanted to ask you too, as far as CNFT projects that you're actually in. I know you know, big interaction yesterday with the Claymates and Snoop Dogg, recognizing them. And I feel like everybody in the CNFT community kind of just huddled around that and was like, yo, even if you're not a big fan of the Clays or not involved in that project, you were kind of rooting for it because it's going to kind of elevate Cardano itself in that CNFT world. So are you involved in Clays at all? And you see that interaction?
Involved? I mean, I don't know any of the team there. Well, it's funny that I actually spoke to the Clays in like March.
Oh, really?
They were in a clubhouse room it was on each side, of course. And I remember like we were talking about it and I was like, yeah, you should do this. Like this would be really, really awesome. I don't remember what I said, but I remember I was like rooting for them. I was like, do it.
Yeah.
You guys have something. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then they dropped, you know, months later, they made a thing on Cardano and I was super happy. They probably don't remember that conversation, but it was really cool. So I bought 4 when they first dropped.
Nice.
And I should have bought more, but I was
same.
Yep.
You know, like yeah. So I have 4, and then I got 4 more with the Halloween drop.
Nice. Yeah. I was going to say, I think that was like our first collective group as far as our group goes. The Clay Nation's 10K drop was pretty much the first one we all kind of jumped in as a group on. I had one of the Clays prior to that when they had minted before the 10K drop and wasn't really even expecting what that was going to turn into at that time. I think I ended up minting 3 of them right now. And I think TJ, you had one as well, right?
I did. Yeah, I had one of them.
So yeah, it's a dope project itself, and I just think as far as the space, you know, in general, it's kind of cool to see them being, you know, elevating to where they're at right now in order to continue to kind of push that needle forward for CNFTs itself. So it's definitely cool. What are there any other CNFT projects that you're a fan of? Like are you involved with Space Buds and are any of those?
I have a Space Bud.
Nice.
You just got a Space Ape, right?
Which one's a Space Ape?
The Space Apes, the Loveless ones. I thought I saw
Yeah,
that.
I
in
have
Discord.
12 of those.
Do you? Yeah, I got 10 of those.
I was like, that was me buying because I wanted a rare one. And I was like, well, fuck,
Right.
this is rare. I'm going to buy more. And then
Right.
I had to cut myself off. So yeah, I have a bunch of those. I don't even know what they're worth. I was just thinking about that earlier. Because again, that's one of those things that you buy as an investment to flip, right?
Right.
You keep some of them for the potential of the community or whatever they're going to bring. But you sometimes you just buy it for, you know, the floor.
Of course.
So yeah, so I have the Space Apes, I have the goats.
You did get a goat. I've seen a lot of those around. They're posted all over. They seem to be pretty hot.
Yeah, they sold out, which is pretty cool. Spaces Within.
Okay.
Or Worlds Within. That one is revolutionary, I think. Not revolutionary, but they're the first VR NFTs. So, and they're generative, which is just crazy.
Right. Yeah, I think I've been to 2 of those as well, which are, I think they have an announcement or something coming out here soon finally, or they got, I don't know if it was, they got on a Token Ref or one of those things.
Yeah, I saw that they got on Token Ref. I didn't check it out yet. That's going to be crazy. I have 48
right.
and I haven't had time to look at all of them.
My
Oh, really? I was like, I got 2. It's cool, you know.
Spaces Ada, that was another one. Not Spaces, Shapes
Ada. Shapes.
But
That was
I buy a lot of
right?
stuff because I give a lot away, right? Because so I have my own token, my own utility token for people who collect my work called the Gambit token.
Yeah.
That's my first creative self-portrait from like years ago. It's like I have a hood on and it's a one light. So one light's in the eye and everything else is shaded. And I have this deck of cards that I'm flipping and it goes all the way.
That's a dope
across,
picture. I saw that.
You did it with
cool.
toothpicks. I was going to ask you about that because I saw the special server on Discord, but to get the cards all to stay like that, to get the picture.
Yes, each card is an individual photo.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
That's
wow.
awesome.
Oh,
So
wow. All
I
right.
took the background and then I kind of like figured out where I was, estimated where I was. And I took a bunch of more photos with the same light. And I had glued toothpicks until I ran out of toothpicks. And then it was Q-tips on each of the corners. So I would take a picture by bending the card in front of the camera without my fingers on it so I could edit out the rest of it, right?
Right.
So as a way, like that's basically everyone who buys one of those, the utility of it is they get a bunch of airdrops and they get early access to my new mints and the private conversation in Discord and all of that. So I forgot how we got there, but
Yeah.
that's
We were asking too, just, I mean, as far as your work itself with that Gambit 100, how do people get into that now? Is it by buying any of your current artwork, or is that even able to still get into it? Is that closed off?
so there's 100 total.
Mhm.
I'm on like 18, and the
Okay.
only way to get one is to own one of my other pieces.
Okay. And
And
those are
then
ones you're currently selling?
yeah. So
Okay.
once you have one of those pieces, if you want to also get a Gambit coin, then check it out. I'm going to do that for the first 50.
Okay.
And then after the first 50, then I will open it up to everyone. But I want it to be a place where I can reward my current collectors for
Mhm.
supporting me. And so to get one, you have to be a collector.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I think that it opens up a cool market, right? Like, instead of the utility part of this, right? As being part of this club, this group, and just getting to see, a little insight into your world. I think NFTs have a cool opportunity to do things like that, because we were talking a little bit about, Patreon with YouTubers and things like this, is the access into their club and paying a certain membership fee. Nowadays, you're able to mint NFTs and tokens and let that be your actual like stamp into your collection or into your world. I think that's a lot cooler of an, you get to express yourself a little bit too with that actual artwork by doing that. So I think that's an awesome way to do things. I just think you're seeing it a lot more now too. So
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, because everyone, you see everyone talking about the state of the Cardano marketplaces. Smart contracts were added, but not a lot of people have it. I saw on Discord you also do some auctions too for some of your sales. Have you seen some more luck just early on Cardano with some auctions, or is it just we're all still so early, just kind of waiting for things to develop?
I did auctions on the Discord servers.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, here's the thing, like you can create art and make pictures and share them wherever, but if you can't get eyes on them, you can't sell them.
mhm.
So the Discord servers give you a chance to create your own little spotlight on some of your art. And I think that they were a launch pad. The downside of that is that the only eyes you get are the people who are in that Discord.
Mhm.
And there are not many Discords that are having fine art auctions. So the CryptoFly is kind of the only one.
Yeah.
If you jump on the other Discords and you look at all their auctions, it's for Space Buds or
Unsigs, or
yeah.
the
Oh
bigger.
yeah, Unstays is the other project, one of the other projects I have. But yeah, so you got to go where your art fits in, right?
Mhm.
But Ali and I were just talking like a few days ago, maybe a week ago, that we might have outgrown CryptoFly,
Mhm.
and which is lucky for us that these platforms are coming out, so it's good timing.
Right. Yeah, I think CryptoFly was one of the first like auction servers I had been back in the day. I think CNFT IO's auction house, as well as Lovelace's, were like the two main ones when I first started jumping in. But I did see CryptoFly as well. It was one of the originals back in the day, but I haven't been in there at all really since it kind of took off the space back maybe like September-ish. I think the only actual outside of artwork type pieces that at least I know that I own that I'm starting to get into, I know I've gotten one of backwards geometries pieces. Is one, I don't know if you're familiar with him at all.
No, I think I heard the name once or twice, but I
Yeah,
haven't.
I think he did a collab with somebody. I don't know. They have another one called Art of Women over on Cardano. They just did a collab piece, but it's more traditional style of artwork, right? That's the only thing that I've really seen outside of what you got going on. But honestly, again, your stuff to me is very like capturing it, captivating, and something that I now am probably going to do more research and try to jump into some of your stuff after we get off this call and do a little bit more research.
Should buy one on the call.
Dude, there you go. Yeah, right. Yeah. Let me load up that wallet real quick and we'll get going. Right. Dataless, we're synced right now to the blockchain. I wanted to talk to you too, because I do follow you on Twitter and things as well. You were up in New York this past week, right?
Yes.
And did you attend the actual NFT week itself? I did see you meeting with a few different people out there, and what did you do out there?
I did manage to get in. Ali and I got in with some bogus passes. They were the real passes, but they were given to us just because of all the people we know. But most of what we did was just party.
Yeah,
we go to
it's New York, man.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And you know, like, you don't have to be hustling all the time, but I feel like I should have had more conversations, but it was hard. It just seemed like a giant clusterfuck, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of shit happening all at once. And, one thing, it was all ETH related, or mostly on ETH side.
Right.
And one of the things that sort of, going back to the ETH culture is very cliquey. So it's very difficult, I felt, to get into conversations with new people and whatnot. So, but it was a good time. And there was a lot of art exhibits that Ali and I went to. And it was totally worth the trip. If not just for us, but we also met some people and managed to make a few online relationships stronger. And that's what these conventions are for.
Yeah, see, I didn't really know there was a whole NFT week going on. The only thing I'd kind of followed through was actually with the Bored Apes. I've seen that whole conference, and I saw their party that they had, and it's, obviously that whole side is taking off, and I think they're kind of like the benchmark for a lot of these projects to live up to right now in the NFT world. As far as a community is growing from it, not necessarily the artwork itself, maybe, but just what they're doing as far as the community is growing. So it was interesting to see all that stuff start to take off, and that's where I kind of started to follow up on the actual NFT week itself. But what I was interested in on Cardano's side, which I'm a legacy pass holder for CNFT Con, and I'm interested. Are you involved with at all in that?
Involved
as far as had bought a legacy pass itself?
Yeah, I grabbed two, one for me and one for Ali. And we were just talking about that today. Is like, we're looking forward to that. All of these like little meetups around the country, I think, are freaking really cool.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is you're taking a completely online community and putting them into a physical community. And I think that's been really cool. And that's one of the things that's very different about this than and I guess it's just moving with the times, right? Like our technology allows us to do a video call with 4 people from 4 different corners of wherever you are. And to be able to bring this into something real is really awesome.
Well, I like being able to see, all these NFT spaces that are digital come into these physical spaces. Like you guys were in New York. Even a lot of your stuff you can get as actual physical pieces as well as a digital art if you want to have both and have it represented like that. Is it Infinite Spaces, Tommy? Where we've seen people get their other NFTs like the Aeonium Sky ones into physical art and stuff like that too. So it's exciting seeing all this digital art also come into the physical space and just grow.
Yeah, I think I'm involved. I own a few of the Cardano trees, the living art, on the blockchain, and they have the digital frames. I feel like they're already working on trying to get those into production a little bit, and to be able to display these on-chain pieces of art. So I think that's definitely a new thing instead of just traditional painting. I think that they're also moving towards a digital world that's happening as well. But I don't necessarily know that you'll ever replace, like you said, the physical artwork and the frames themselves.
I think it depends on the display.
Right.
If we could do a display like this is not backlit. It's a digital display that's not backlit. Then as soon as this comes out in color, oh man, then I probably won't produce anything but this type of work.
Really? That's interesting.
That would be amazing. You could, right now, I think the digital displays look like TVs, which is, a TV is great when you want to watch something blow up and people fall in love and drama and all that stuff. But displaying art, it's not very. But then again, I'm a traditional person. you know,
Yeah.
so I want to see the art in a different way. But a lot of the people coming in to the space are totally fine with a digital display in a frame, and that's enough. So yeah, that's, you know, bringing these things out. But once the metaverse gets here, right, 5, 10, or 7 to 15 years from now, they will be on display in a space that you can exist in.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. I think
The other
that's,
problem I think with physical like digital displays now, if it was a TV or something like what you have behind you on the wall, the ratios and things like that don't work. Or if you want to have something that's a photograph, you know, a photo that's, you know, wider than a TV, you know, the ratio of it, it's just not going to look right. And you won't be able to enjoy it. It won't take up the wall the same way if it's smashed down to a television. That only really works for some pieces too. So it's not quite there. I know what you mean with the digital screens yet, where we can enjoy it in that way.
I wonder if I could create or commission building a panoramic digital display.
Almost like a curved screen, but you know, like a wide, like an ultra wide.
Yeah.
See, that'd be dope. All this is bringing up conversation right now, right? As we're sitting to talk about it, you know, I'm sure people in the future here are going to do that because of these reasons and these things coming up. Now that we're moving this way. Quick, wanted to just segment back. So you said Art Basel down in Miami. Is that what exactly is that? I'll be honest, we all live in Florida right now, so we're not too far from Miami.
So Art Basel, or Basel itself, is a place in Switzerland, and they have an art show every year.
Okay, we're a little far.
No, it is. It's they have this really famous art show every year, and then it's so famous that they do it in 2 other places. So they do it in Hong Kong, and then they do it in Miami. So the Art Basel itself, the show, the gallery, the convention happens in Switzerland, Hong Kong, and then Miami. And because it's so big and so popular and such high value art goes in there, there's a whole bunch of other expos and art events pop up all around it. So Art Basel becomes Art Basel Miami Week. And it's this week-long art event that happens all over Miami and in December. So December 2 through 5 is when most of the conventions are open publicly. And there's 10 major expos and then 5,000 or more satellite shows and events. Earlier today, I had one of my Florida people called me about possibly doing an art show in their restaurant. So these restaurants are doing their own little art shows, right? And then, so there's this big art event, right? And I'm doing Red Dot Art Expo, one of the big 10. And so I'll be there from end of November to the middle of December, showing my work and having conversations and stuff like that. So if you guys are going to be there, then I'll put a note here. I'll send you guys tickets to Red Dot.
Dude,
that'd be dope.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really the only art that I've ever checked out really down in Miami when we're down there is the Wynwood.
I was gonna say Wynwood
walls.
Yeah.
Well, it's in Wynwood. So
really?
It's the Mana Convention Center, or Mana Convention Center, is where Red Dot happens.
Really?
And it's big. It's like a 100,000 square foot convention.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh wow.
What weekend is that actually?
The first week of December. So December 2 through 5.
Huh.
That's not a bad time to be in Florida too, if you're coming from the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, not at all.
It's finally starting to cool off a little bit down here. We're making it into the 60s. So we're getting a little sweater weather over here for us.
Yeah.
Who knows, it'll be 80 by next week.
Yeah. So that's actually awesome. I didn't know that, but you know, I may take you up on that if you end up messaging after that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll send you guys actually there should be a link I'll send you guys a thing, but there should be a link in my channel on my Discord.
Okay, great.
For Art Basel.
Dude, that's dope. Well, I know we're approaching getting close here on that hour. I didn't know if you guys had any other questions or if you had anything to get with us. I know we're still growing as far as the podcast itself, and we're kind of our goal is just to kind of educate and get the everyday consumer. Because a lot of our friends, you have no idea what this is when you tell them an NFT, literally no clue. So we're trying to educate a little bit in our way. And just bringing actual awareness to the actual artists themselves. So it's kind of cool to have you on, and we appreciate even spending some time with us. It's really been a good time over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I'm just honestly curious. I know you know, looking through your pictures and then reading the descriptions. And I know in your About Me, the basic one was, I mean, I know you spent some time in Alaska, and then you obviously have some pictures there in New York City, but just where else have you traveled, or where's been some of the better places where you've been able to take some time to, you know, get some of your favorite, I guess, pieces? You probably have even more that you haven't even posted that we wouldn't know about, but at least the ones we've seen.
Yeah, everything. Like, I don't, not just because I made a picture doesn't mean that's something I'm going to sell, right? So I have work for a lot more work than the 100+ pictures on my website. Shoots. Where have I been? I mean,
were you in Alaska? I mean, was it all 6 years? I know you mentioned you're in the Air Force 6 years. I guess not all of it would have been there, but was that the majority of it in Alaska?
my first 3 years were in Alaska, and then I went to Nevada. So places that I don't know. So I think my list is like 14 or 15 countries now. So it's not that many. But my favorite, the place I really want to go back to photograph is Morocco. I was there for like 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks. I was there for like 5 or 6 days, and I didn't get as many photos as I thought that I should, which is probably what I think about every place. But I think Morocco has a lot of hidden gems, and I would love to go back there. I would like to experience the coast and then head into the High Atlas, which is the top of the Sahara Desert. I think that place is got a lot of things that you could reveal in art in a special way. I really liked Bali, and I also really loved Italy for photos. Right, but I mean, obviously, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
The place that I really want to go is Lebanon and Croatia.
Okay, Croatia especially. Yeah, I know, like the cliffs and the oceans there. I mean, it's like the big tourist destination spot. 'Cause we're in Florida, so everyone here, you know, goes to the Bahamas or the Caribbean or Mexico. But I know over there, that's kind of Croatia's that spot, just because how beautiful it is.
Well, I mean, Iceland is on the list, but Ali is Panamanian, and she's going to take me to Panama. And I thought Panama, when I think of Panama, I see the canal in my head, and then like 5 feet on either side, and that's it. But then I saw a picture of all the mountains there and how beautiful it is. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. I mean, the world's a beautiful place. So there's just a lot to see, and you just have to be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you got a lot more countries on the list than I do right now. TJ, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I was going to say, I heard one of the videos that you spent like a whole day for that monolith for that perfect picture. So I know you're willing to, you know, stake out somewhere for that photo or that vision that you have for your art. So I think that's dedication. I think that's awesome too.
I was going to say, I could see why you'd want more time in like Morocco, because it can take so long sometimes to get that, you know, waiting for the sun or whatever it is that you are waiting for the perfect condition to get that picture. And then it's like, okay, this spent 3 days here. We need to keep going.
Some of the real pros, the bigger, like, you know, they'll do a week, they'll do more. Go back every day to the same place. I have a photo from Hawaii, and it's taken with a small compact camera, but I went back to the same spot 27 times over the course of 3 months to get a good photo that I thought was good.
Right.
And that's just what it takes. So, I mean, if you travel across the world for something or across the country, then sometimes you got to spend more time.
Well, even the picture, I'm sorry, I forget the name of it. The one we were talking about earlier, you took in the garden of the red tree of the maple. I think you even said in that you went back 3 or 4 times. So you finally got the light right on that one even.
Yeah, light right. And then the color to come out. And then I got lucky because the fog rolled in. So in landscape photography, there is a lot of elements beyond your control.
All comes in just before kicked out, right? Off the path.
Yeah.
That's yeah, man. I said I've never really been too focused on the actual artwork itself until I'd say this past couple months getting into these NFTs, because I think it's opened my eye to a new world. And you know, I'm starting to focus on, you know, less of these profile pic drops sometimes, and actually looking to stuff that actually is true artwork, because I'm starting, you know, looking around my walls, they're getting a little empty over here. And we could, you know, it's always fun to appreciate new art and stuff that's being developed, and it's cool to see it also getting onto the blockchain itself.
A lot more to appreciate, because when you get over, you know, just all this overkill of the profile pictures. And then, they run them through an algorithm or whatever, generates 10,000 pictures where you actually had to be there taking a picture, like you said, even more than once till it gets the right one to the one that we're actually seeing finally for sale. So there's a lot more to appreciate there. It's not, it's grown a lot too, and growing our interest.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So we'll go ahead. I would appreciate your time coming out here. I know we're not the biggest of to artists yet over here. So just sitting down and talking in this space, it's nice to kind of bridge the gap of our audience and then what you're working with, and putting the two together inside the NFT world is dope, man. So we appreciate your time, and definitely be reaching out to you a little bit about that at Art Basel in Miami. That's definitely awesome.
Well, and I got my eye on some pieces too. I'm not, like you said, you got those ones you flip
Yeah.
and I've been building up. You start slow and eventually you can start building more or buying more than one, like you said, and kind of hold 2 or 3 as we're just starting to kind of get into that space. So I'm working up to it though. Now that we've been looking at these the past 3 weeks, I got my eye on a couple of them. Hopefully get there soon.
Yeah. So Jason, I don't know if you want to go ahead. Where can everybody find your work currently? Where are your socials right now that you're currently on?
So my socials are real Jason Matias on all the platforms. So Instagram and Twitter are both real Jason Matias, because some guy in New Jersey has my name and I won't give it up. And then there's Facebook. If Facebook is your thing, it's increasingly less friendly to artists. And then my website is jasonmatias.com.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that. We'll go ahead and make sure to link this in the description. We should be putting out, I think we're going to go ahead and edit it up, and it should be out this week, I would think. So we'll go ahead and shoot you some messages, and appreciate your time on here, man.